Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to this week's episode of Do You Cook English? And here we are again at the wonderful kitchen at Château de la Masure here in France. However, before we move on to the recipe today, I would like us to take a look at today's grammar rules. Have you guessed it yet? Yes, that brings me to the point. Today we are looking at polite, formal and informal interruptions. Today's grammar situation. Polite interruptions are useful phrases you can use when you want to interrupt a meeting, a conference call, or just a general discussion. Formal, polite interruptions. I'm sorry to interrupt, but... Before we move on to the next point, may I add? Sorry, I didn't catch that. Is it possible to repeat the last point? Excuse me, may I add? Do you mind if I jump in here? I don't mean to intrude, but... While that is a good point, it's also important to add, would you be kind enough to explain it again? You may recall what we said. That brings me to the point. Just a moment before we move on. That's a very good question. I'm afraid I didn't quite understand. Impolite or informal interruptions are to be used only in very informal circumstances. These can sometimes be perceived as a little rude, so please ensure that you don't use these in a formal setting. For example, wait a minute please. What was that? Hold on a minute please. Sorry, what did you say? So, today we are joined by Eric, our chef. Hi Eric.
Hi Anna.
And before we move on to the recipe, I'd like to
Anna,
Yeah.
I don't wish to interrupt, but today we are cooking a great little aperitif, which is chicken goujon.
Aha, I can see we have the chicken here. So, may I add that this is a very good recipe. It's a very good recipe indeed, in fact. These make a perfect aperitif. So, let's not waste any more time and let's get cooking.
First, take 2 fresh chicken breasts, free range if possible, and then cut them into small pieces. Season with salt, pepper and curry powder and place them in an oven-proof casserole dish. Then we will prepare the English breadcrumb dressing.
So sorry to interrupt, but regarding the breadcrumbs, how do we make these?
It's a very good question, so before we move on, let's take a look at the breadcrumb. It's a mix of chapelure, breadcrumbs, and Parmesan cheese.
Okay, so now to continue with the rest of the recipe. Next, cover the chicken with flour and add the beaten eggs. You then cover the chicken with the Parmesan cheese and breadcrumbs.
That brings us to the final part. Now we cook the chicken on the hob with the butter and oil for 1 to 2 minutes on each side until they brown.
Now you serve them with your favourite sauce, maybe spicy mayonnaise or homemade tomato salsa. Now this brings me to the best part, presenting the chicken goujon.
Yes, if I can jump in here and add, this makes not only a great aperitif but also a tasty light lunch.
Absolutely, that's a very good point. So, they look absolutely delicious to me at any time. So, that's all for this week. Now we will have another great recipe and the grammar rule uploaded ready for you next week. But, meanwhile, please continue to visit our website, and also you can upload your images of any of our recipes onto our Facebook page. So, until next time on Do You Cook English? Au revoir.